one of the best and most elite performances we have ever seen from Caitlin Clark. Now, I got to remind everybody about this. Caitlin Clark is coming off an injury, bro. What we seen today was greatness. This was similar to the Michael Jordan flu game. I mean, it's up there type deal, bro. Caitlin Clark just handed the New York Liberty the ass whooping of a lifetime.
June 14th, 2025. Mark it down, circle it, tattoo it on your basketball soul, because that was the night the New York Liberty got wrecked. Coming in hot at 9-0, they looked unbeatable. But in front of a roaring crowd at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, they weren't just beaten, they were exposed. And the wrecking crew? Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston. From the jump, Caitlin walked in like she owned the place.
And Cunningham is down behind the play, but they've got Caitlin Clark. Two players with incredible up. Clark, another long three. She's back!
Fresh off a quad injury? You'd never know. She came out firing from deep. 7 threes, 32 points, and each one felt like a knife through the Liberty's defense. The Fever crowd erupted with every swish, and suddenly the so-called unbeatable team looked shook. But it wasn't just about Clark lighting up the scoreboard. While she danced around defenders, Aliyah Boston went to work in the paint. Cool, calm, deadly. 10 points, 11 rebounds, and a whole lot of fear put into the Liberty's all-stars. When Clark missed, Boston cleaned it. When Boston got crowded, Clark found her in rhythm. It wasn't just chemistry, it was domination. And the league? Now they've got a serious problem on their hands. Don't blink, because if you thought this was big, the next chapter is going to be even louder. Hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Clark and Boston connection. Let's talk about it. The Clark and Boston connection is pure danger. After the game, even Liberty coach Sandy Brondello admitted they couldn't stop it. They tried traps, switches, doubles, nothing worked. Clark stretched the defense so thin it tore wide open and Boston feasted in the gaps. But this wasn't your average pick-and-roll duo. Clark dropped passes like she was reading minds, and Boston answered like she'd heard them before. Social media exploded. Fans were saying Boston should be MVP and Clark. Some were calling her a basketball witch. Others swore this was personal, that the Fever were out for blood after earlier losses. If so, mission accomplished. Out on the floor, it didn't feel like teamwork. It felt like a setup. Clark would bait the defense into collapsing, then flick a no-look dime to Boston for a clean finish. Boston, strong as ever, powered through bodies like they were invisible. And just when it felt like the Liberty had seen every trick, they walked right into the play that shut down the internet. The full-court bullet that shook the WNBA.
And Cunningham is down behind the play, but they've got Caitlin Clark. Two players with incredible up. Clark, another long three. She's back!
From the very first possession, there was electricity in the air, but what Caitlin Clark did next jolted the entire league. With the shot clock bleeding out and defenders swarming, Clark didn't panic. She launched a full-court, side-angle missile from nearly the logo. The ball flew like a heat-seeking rocket, slicing through the Liberty defense and landing perfectly in the hands of Aliyah Boston under the rim. One fluid move later, Boston banked it in. It wasn't just a highlight, it was a declaration of war.
Matter if there's a hand in her face contesting. Look at that reaction.
Just the three in the last 3 games. She had made 7 in a row over her last 2.
The crowd didn't erupt, it detonated. Fans went from stunned silence to screaming chaos. Even some Liberty faithful were caught with jaws open. That pass, now being dubbed the Hail Mary no-look dime, wasn't just flashy. It was strategic brilliance. Clark didn't just make a play. She read the defense, broke it open, and torched it all in one motion. It was trust, it was vision, and it was proof. Clark and Boston aren't playing catch, they're playing chess at lightning speed. But more than that one sequence, it revealed a bigger truth.
Clark nails it. A 17-0.
The Fever have something that no scouting report can prepare for. The chemistry between Clark and Boston isn't just effective, it's nuclear. Their timing, their reads, the way they move as one. That pass was just the tip of the iceberg. On a night when the Liberty were supposed to roll, this duo shredded their defensive reputation and left a signature on a moment that's already living rent-free in WNBA history. Drama in the paint and behind the arc. After that bullet pass, the Fever didn't just ride the momentum, they weaponized it. Clark's range became a horror story for Liberty defenders, forcing panic switches and desperate closeouts. She drilled a trio of threes in under 2 minutes, each one deeper, dirtier, and more disrespectful than the last. Meanwhile, Boston went full beast mode in the paint, boxing out with brute force and finishing with finesse that made the Liberty's front court look like practice dummies. Liberty coach Sandy Brondello was visibly rattled, barking out orders and rotating defenders like it was preseason tryouts. Nothing worked. Every time Clark danced on the perimeter, a double came. And every time she made them pay. Whether it was a skip pass to Mitchell, a no-look dish to Boston, or just pulling up from Saturn, she cracked open the Liberty defense like an overripe melon. The Fever weren't just hot, they were nuclear. But the real tension? It wasn't just the scoreboard. It was the frustration building in New York's ranks. Elbows got sharp, screens turned brutal. And at one point, Aliyah Boston took a forearm to the ribs that had the arena gasping. But she stood tall. No flops, no theatrics, just a cold glare and another bucket. This wasn't just basketball. It was war. And Indiana was winning it with brains, bruises, and bombs from beyond the arc. The turning point, when chaos became poetry. Third quarter, Fever up, but the game still teetered on a knife's edge. Then it happened. Caitlin Clark, with ice in her veins and a defender up in her jersey, launched a shot from somewhere near Indianapolis International Airport. Splash! The crowd detonated. The Liberty's composure, gone in seconds. Clark followed it up with 2 more from deep, each one a psychological dagger, and by the time the third bomb dropped, the Liberty defense looked like they'd seen a ghost. Players were slipping on screens, arguing over missed rotations, swiping at nothing. That's when Boston cut to the basket, took a high post feed, and finished through contact with a flex that sent the arena into orbit. This wasn't just a run, it was an unraveling. And social media, on fire. A Chicago fan posted, "That's not basketball, that's performance art." Another called it the most disrespectful third quarter of the season. The Hail Mary from downtown clip was already trending, but now it was surrounded by gifs of Brondello slamming her clipboard and fans in Liberty jerseys shaking their heads. Indiana had gone from the hunters to the hunted to the headline act, and it was beautiful chaos. The defensive edge, where Boston became a wall. You can't talk about the Fever's domination without giving Aliyah Boston her due on the other end of the court. While Clark was lighting it up from the perimeter, Boston was turning the paint into a no-fly zone. Every Liberty drive ended the same: smothered, blocked, or bounced out. She pulled down 11 boards like they were hers by divine right and sent a clear message: nothing easy tonight. Jonquel Jones tried her usual bully ball routine, but Boston stood her ground like a brick wall wrapped in Kevlar. No flopping, no foul baiting, just raw muscle and perfectly timed footwork. Even when the Liberty managed to slip past Indiana's perimeter, they found themselves swallowed up by Boston's presence in the key. She didn't just protect the rim, she erased it from the Liberty's game plan. And let's talk about Clark's defense because, yes, she plays both ways. No, it's not flashy, but it's fierce. Hounding Ionescu on switches, poking passes loose, closing out like she had something to prove. The Fever weren't just winning with buckets. They were locking down with intent. The Liberty came in as the league's offensive juggernaut, but Indiana flipped the script. Defense wasn't just a part of their strategy. It was the foundation of their statement. The turning point? Zoom into the third quarter. This is where the roof comes off. Caitlin Clark doesn't just heat up, she detonates. 3 logo-range threes in under 2 minutes. The Liberty defense looked like it had been tossed in a blender. Traps failed, rotations collapsed, and by the time Boston carved her way through the middle for an easy finish, Brondello could barely scribble adjustments fast enough. Liberty fans online? Melting down. One viral comment nailed it. Clark just threaded a no-look bullet through 2 defenders like she was playing horse. Who even does that? The Gainbridge crowd went dead silent for half a second, then exploded like they just witnessed a buzzer beater. This wasn't just a highlight. It was a hostile takeover. That third quarter run didn't change the tone. It seized the game's soul. The defensive edge. Everyone's focused on the buckets, but the real turning screw was defense. Aliyah Boston turned into a one-woman blockade, 11 rebounds, multiple swats, and complete domination inside. The Liberty's vaunted front court gone missing. Every drive into the paint ended the same, stuffed, stripped, or sent back like a bad check. And then there's Clark. No, not the flashy kind of defense. This was calculated chaos. Swipe steals, disruption off the ball, and sharp switches that knocked Sabrina Ionescu off her rhythm like a scratched record. This wasn't just defense, it was disruption with intent. Brondello came in with a blueprint. Indiana shredded it, then built their own with bricks labeled grit, hustle, and control. Bigger stakes, bigger stage. This wasn't just another regular season matchup. This was a declaration. The Liberty rolled in undefeated, confident, already polishing their championship credentials. The Fever, underdogs at 4-5, doubted, written off. But what unfolded on that court rewrote the script completely. That night didn't just shake the standings, it shattered expectations. Now the chatter isn't about potential, it's about power. Analysts are suddenly throwing around finals talk like confetti. ESPN didn't hesitate. Indiana might be built for a deep run, they said, eyes locked on Clark and Boston. After a 14-point demolition of the league's so-called powerhouse, the whisper turned into a roar. The Fever didn't pull off an upset. They sparked a revolution. Personal stories, team foundations. Off the court, their chemistry hits just as hard. Aliyah Boston isn't just a dominant post, she's a communications grad, mentor, and future voice of the league. Caitlin Clark, she's already the face of it. Endorsements, packed arenas, viral clips, the hype machine follows her every step. But together, they're not some marketing gimmick, they're the real thing. Remember when Boston caught a $200 fine after that fiery exchange with Angel Reese? Clark didn't blink. She reached into her wallet and said, "I'll take care of it." That's not PR, that's loyalty in its rawest form. This isn't just 2 stars on the same team, it's 2 leaders building something bigger than themselves. Trust like that, you can't fake it, and you sure can't stop it. Midseason ripples. The Fever are now 5-5, finally at .500, and the energy has shifted completely. This game didn't feel like a fluke, it felt like ignition. The rebuild is over, the switch has flipped. Suddenly this team isn't chasing identity. They've found it, and they're coming for everything. Social media is erupting. One post with over 2 million views called it what it is. The CC effect is real. This ain't hype. It's a full-blown problem for the league. Even Coach Stephanie White had to admit it. Clark and Boston might be our Stockton and Malone. But truth be told, they might already be more lethal. Because this duo isn't just clicking, they're final words. Here's the headline no one wants to admit, but everyone feels Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston just changed the WNBA. This wasn't hype. This wasn't luck. It was a reckoning. Chemistry collided with firepower, and the Liberty got scorched. A new era just arrived, and it wears navy, red, and white. So don't just scroll, get in on it. Smash that like button, drop your hottest take in the comments, and hit subscribe. Because if this is just the start, playoff season might burn the whole league down. The Fever aren't coming, they're already here.